Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome. Thank you for joining us for today's webinar, Groundbreaking and Game-Changing Enterprise Search. This is Steve Mann. I'm the Vice President of Sales at Concept Searching. I'm one of your co-hosts for today's webinar. Just a little bit about me. I've been with Concept Searching for 3 years now. I've been in the managed metadata space for several years. And I really spend most of my time in the areas of business development and account management. I'm joined by Steve Smith, a senior consultant from CDH, one of our gold certified partners. Steve, would you like to tell the folks a bit about yourself?
Yes, hello. My name is Steve Smith. Been in the search space for about 20 years. I've been working with Concept Search for about 15, ever since their inception. And lots of deployment experience, and I'll be running the live demonstration today. Thanks, Steve.
All right, thanks, Steve. Okay, the agenda that we'd like to follow for today's webinar, fairly basic, a bit about who Concept Searching is, what we do. You're never gonna, if you've been to a Concept Searching webinar before, there's always a bit of shameless self-promotion, but we'll get through that in short order, and we'll really move into talking about solution and business components of some of the traditional search solutions that are out there, and that will kind of set the table for Steve's demonstration, where he's going to really show, I think, a really unique approach to enterprise search. Now, there were questions posed via the online registration page, which we're trying to incorporate as part of the presentation. Now, if you happen to have questions during the webinar, I would encourage you to type them into the chat box. We will be sure to follow up after the meeting with a response, regardless of whether or not we have managed to answer your question during the webinar. Let's see, also we will be recording this webinar, so we will send all registrants a link to the recording and a link to the presentation. And on that note, something that people say sometimes is that our slides can be a bit busy, maybe too much information at times, and so just what I want to make you aware of, if you feel that way, that really what we have intended is that the presentation can stand alone by itself as reference material. So if you happen to pass it around to colleagues and share it with them, that they can look at it and get a very good sense as to the material that was covered in the presentation without actually having heard any of the audio. Okay, so with that, let's move on. For those of you that perhaps do not know who we are, we've been in business since 2002. We were the first to market with a solution to automatically apply semantic metadata, and we are also the only solution in the market with a fully integrated statistical multi-term auto-classification platform, which we use to deliver metadata-driven search and governance solutions. We have been a managed Microsoft partner since 2008, and we're one of only 11 search partners worldwide who is a Microsoft Business Critical SharePoint program partner. Our product platforms deliver metadata-driven search and governance solutions for all versions of SharePoint on-premise from 2007 onward, as well as all versions of SharePoint Online, the multi-tenant, the older dedicated version, and the government cloud, as well as OneDrive for Business. We offer full product support in the form of both a farm solution and a provider-hosted add-in. So what we do is simply metadata generation, auto-classification, taxonomy, and term store management. And as mentioned, we integrate with all versions of SharePoint on-premise, in the cloud, or a hybrid environment. Now, our platform is not a web part, but an infrastructure platform that offers the flexibility to access content in non-SharePoint platforms and repositories. So our contention is that once you've automated the process of generating metadata and tagging content with metadata, that metadata can be used for a whole host of very impactful information governance initiatives, data privacy, records management, compliance, text analytics, which we like to refer to as intelligent metadata-enabled solutions. All right, so on the subject of metadata and tagging, despite the poor results associated with manual tagging, organizations continue to rely on that process, probably because there's no upfront cost. Now, the most obvious impact is to enterprise search, as improving findability is the main reason organizations turn to metadata in the first place. Now, with the cloud and the exponential growth of content, the consequences of inaccurate metadata have more repercussions and can have an adverse effect on critical business issues. A really poor search means poor information governance, and that's a large umbrella. So, under that means, some challenges when it comes to records management, migration, compliance, security, content lifecycle management, what have you. So poor metadata is a big problem. But let's take a minute and maybe look at the bigger picture here when it comes to search. So for effective search to work, there are several components. Most organizations only care about their content in SharePoint and file shares, but advanced search can include both structured and unstructured content. Now, you may not think access to structured content is needed, but you typically want to access information that is pertinent to you and your work assignments. So for example, if you happen to be in finance, you may want to access information in the database or a specific application as well as a spreadsheet. Now, the topic of nomenclature maybe goes without saying, different companies in different countries, maybe different office locations, maybe even different departments within the same companies have their own way of, have their own vernacular, their own terms and ways of saying things. So fixing that problem is called normalization. That will enable the system to know the difference and to allow for those differences, linguistic differences in the search criteria. Okay, so just one thing that you may take away from concept searching. If there is one thing, I would like it for it to be this, our compound term processing engine, which is a key differentiator for us and still unique in the industry. So compound term processing allows for searching for multi-word phrases and terms, which we think is much more impactful and powerful than keyword or single word search. So when it comes to traditional search, it assumes that end users know what they're looking for or must enter the quote-unquote right combination of words in order to get the right result. Now the reality is that knowledge workers need to identify content in the context of what they're seeking. And the fundamental problem with search solutions is that they're based on an index of single words. Yet most queries are expressed in short patterns of words and not single words in isolation, which can be ambiguous. So to show you just how ambiguous that can be, we have a tried and true example we use within concept searching, and that of the multi-word phrase triple heart bypass. Now when you hear me say that, I think it's apparent that I'm talking about open heart surgery. But what we try to illustrate here is that those words taken individually have meanings that are far different than that multi-word phrase. So if you're a search engine that is relying on keywords, you would end up identifying all the documents that contain the words triple, heart, and bypass, instead of documents that contain that concept of triple heart bypass. And as a result, you'd end up getting a lot of noise in the search results. And I think these days the expectation is not only that people will get the search result they're looking for on page 1, but really on the top part of page 1, maybe even the top third of page 1. People aren't interested in going through, if there's 14 pages of results, going to those other pages. Now, since we're able to identify the concept of triple heart bypass, that means that other documents that have related concepts can be identified even if they don't contain that exact phrase. So in this example, we could return results relating to coronary surgery, heart attack, and stroke. Okay, so let's talk about different kinds of auto-classification systems. First, with regard to statistical. So first, taxonomies and thesauri, are the foundation of an auto-classifier. They provide the vocabulary against which rules are built and teach the machine how to understand and categorize content. So statistical systems use word frequency and location to determine important or useful concepts. You have to train a statistical system using a representative sample, a set of documents, usually 50 or more, for each concept in your taxonomy. You feed it some example text that you would classify in that category, and it analyzes the text to extract statistically significant keywords and patterns. Now, this method can be challenging for a few reasons. It requires a lot of effort to create the training set. It relies on the availability of keyword-rich text. And when there is a problem with the classification results, it can be tricky to identify the source. Rule-based systems rely on simple Boolean categorization rules to find either positive or negative evidence of a match to a category. The success of rules-based systems is heavily dependent on the richness of the taxonomy and collection of synonyms or keywords associated to each category. Weighting can be used to adjust how the system interprets the relevancy of a specific keyword to a specific category. So the challenge is in creating and or tweaking the rules to each category and keyword combination, which can be onerous for large taxonomies. There are, however, many tools that auto-create a set based on your taxonomy that you could then edit. Many of the popular taxonomy management suites include auto-classification modules. This allows you to combine the management of the categories and keywords or synonyms against which you'll be classifying and the associated rules or training sets. With few exceptions, taxonomy tools with auto-classifiers are generally rules-based systems. They automatically create a set of rules based on the taxonomy stored within, creating new rules each time a new term is added or changed in the vocabulary. So this reduces the effort in rules-based management. Now, taxonomy is the science, for those of you who may be not familiar with it, taxonomy is the science of classification according to a predetermined system, with the resulting catalog used to provide a conceptual framework for discussion, analysis, or information retrieval. In theory, the development of a good taxonomy takes into account the importance of separating elements of a group into subgroups that are mutually exclusive, unambiguous, and taken together include all possibilities. In practice, a good taxonomy should be simple, easy to remember, and easy to use, like a lot of things in life. So taxonomy management can be a long, arduous, and costly project in terms of people, time, and money. A bit about Concept Taxonomy Manager. The way it was designed for subject matter experts versus IT. From a logical perspective, who best to know how a department processes information, what the business terms are, and what is relevant to their users. I typically doesn't know or care. And of course, every department can be different. It's very easy to use, and organizations get to speed very quickly using the basic functions. There are also very advanced functions such as boosting that can be used to refine and improve auto-classification. So we've talked about some of the inherent challenges with traditional search systems. But what if you could not only search and discover, but also analyze, visualize, and apply artificial intelligence to a normalized set of all structured and unstructured content within your organization securely and in near real time? Now, content intelligence is the combination of semantic technology and information science that allows machines to model, interpret, describe, analyze, and visualize the content of the enterprise in order to leverage the human intelligence locked in that content. And that is what Steve is going to show you.
Okay, well, thank you, Steve. So I wanted to start first with, an architecture diagram of how you would deploy advanced enterprise search in your environment. So I want to start at the bottom of the screen and talk about the content sources. So down at the bottom we have unstructured content on the right. These are all of your content sources, file shares, your SharePoint environment, your Documentum, all of your unstructured content within your organization. We can securely index all of your unstructured content, as well as, on the left, all of the structured content that you may want to look at. So structured content are typically line of business applications, SAP, PeopleSoft, Salesforce, those kinds of things. And it includes both the unstructured content within them, so notes and unstructured text, those kinds of things, attachments, as well as the actual structured data. And I'll be showing an example of that structured data component in a few minutes. So we can securely connect to any source, index it, so as we move up the chain in the diagram, using multiple authentication mechanisms, right, OAuth and OData and all of the technology that's necessary from a security perspective to access those systems. And then we have a connector framework that we use to leverage that secure connection, and then we inject all of that content into the index. When we do that, that's where the concept search product that's depicted on the right actually then fires all the rules against the content that's in the index and adds all of the metadata for the classification to the index. So there's two paths here. One is it injects the metadata into the index. The other optional path is to optionally write the metadata back. So if you have a source system like SharePoint or even a file share, we can persist that metadata back into the document itself or into the SharePoint list or library, and that way you can use it for taxonomy navigation and those kinds of things. But when you tag it in the index, it means that you're not changing the source system, so you don't have to change the source system. And that's typical in most structured content, right? So your line of business systems, we wouldn't write the metadata back to those source systems necessarily. We could, but typically we just add the metadata into the index itself. And then depicted in the green box is actually what I'm going to show you, which is a live search system, and we're going to show some business intelligence against that index as well as some artificial intelligence against that index. So some of the benefits, I think you all individually in your organization can understand kind of what some of the benefits would be. To securely index all of your content basically means that all of the knowledge that your staff, all of your employees need is at their fingertips, right? So I can go into search, I can type in a couple of keywords, and I can find all the knowledge of your organization in one place, right? So it accelerates projects, gives you some flexibility to adapt to business needs and compliance, eliminates duplication. I mean, you need to look individually at the specific benefits, right? If you're in the pharma industry, there's some very specific benefits, manufacturing, etc. So it's just very innovative way to give access to all your employees within your organization to all the information you have. The outcomes of that, right? A single governed taxonomy. So you're applying a standard set of rules and semantic rules engine to all of your content. So if you go in and say that a particular project name, here's the project name, here's how I want it classified. It doesn't matter which source system that information was indexed from, it gets classified that way, right? So you have a globally governed taxonomy that manages all of your source information and how it's, tagged internally in the system. And then what to look for in the demo, so I'm going to launch a live demonstration in a minute. I just want to kind of point out some things to look for while I'm doing the demonstration. It's fast, find everything within seconds within your entire organization. It's secured so that only the results that I'm able to see when I'm logged in are shown to me, so I need to have read access, otherwise I can't see the information. It's based on corporate governed nomenclature map, that's your taxonomy map. Keywords, concept, compound terms, ranges, and semantics. And I'm going to show both structured and unstructured content that comes from multiple sources. I think I have about 12 different sources in the demo. And then able to visualize it and refine by the taxonomy. And then I'm going to, at the end, show artificial intelligence and predictive analytics applied to the same index. So with that, I'm going to switch and actually show you a live system. So this is a live SharePoint environment. It's using Microsoft SharePoint Server. This is a 2013 server, could be 2016 or online. I've just done a star query to start with, right? So if I go back to the main page and I do a star query, I'm just seeing all of the results. And I'm really just trying to highlight one point, and that is all of the sources of record. So SharePoint, I've got some Siemens Team Center, some Windchill, some DocuShare. I've got some Yammer results. If you're familiar with Yammer, Microsoft product, doesn't integrate well. You really need a connector in order to connect and bring all of that unstructured content in. eRoom, Documentum, and then specific line of business systems. So all kinds of sources of record I'm bringing in. And then I want to just show you some of these refiners. So I've created refiners for results type, right? So the type of results, based on Excel or their images or PDFs. But also I've created examples for the pharma industry. So they have specific test types, blood tests, chromatography tests. They may have, radiology tests, those kinds of things. I created another example with sentiment analysis. So looking through unstructured text to look for negative or positive or neutral sentiment. And then all kinds of other types of classification that you can do. Document type. I have a military example here where they want to know what their global capability, it's capability of their products and services that they deliver, product family, product line, global system. So all of that metadata and the resulting search refiners actually comes from clues within concept search. So this is the web interface for concept search. I'm just showing examples of some of the refiners, but if you look through all of the refiners that we have, I talked about the test type for blood. So here's the blood test type, here's the chromatography test type. And blood may actually have different instrument IDs, different, metadata or standard, text clues that come with it. All of these rules then drive all of the refinement, all of the metadata tagging that we do. So document type, sentiment, source of record, here's all of our sources of record and where they come from. I want to point out real quick that all of these refiners in concept search are actually driving, in this case, SharePoint's term management, right? So this is the term store tool, and I'm just showing the fact that if I look at the drawing document type within concept search, where is document type? There it is. Document type, and I look at, for example, CAD, and I put some rules in for what CAD should be, those same rules are actually integrated right in with the term store, the term management tool within SharePoint. So I can see those same clues, and it's what drives the globally managed taxonomy. So I'm going to actually go back to the search and I'm going to show you a shaped query. So you can not only type in keywords like, pump, and you can look at all the document types, all of the results. And let's say I'm looking for a water pump. These are unstructured results, right? I can also then put a shaped query in for miles per gallon, 0 to 100. So what I'm showing now is a search result that's coming from a structured data source. So this is a database that has information about, in this case, automobile miles per gallon information. And what I'm trying to showcase here is that I have 398 results as displayed kind of at the bottom of my screen, right? I can then go into something like Microsoft's Power BI platform. You can use, Click or Burst or any of your, visualization BI tool front end, but then to actually consume shaped queries from search so that I can take my structured content and visualize it. Here's an example of taking that same data from my search index, and actually it's already normalized data, and creating a visualization for it. The other thing that you can do with it is I'll actually open up this is Microsoft's Azure Machine Learning Studio. You can use IBM or any artificial intelligence tool that you're using. And if you want to train your data sets to do predictive analytics, you can actually use your search index as your trusted authoritative source, right? Shape your queries, look at your result set, and say this is the result set that I want to use now to train. You export it, import it right into your artificial intelligence tool, and you can actually leverage that data to do predictive analytics. So with that, I'm going to turn it back over to Steve.
Well, thanks, Steve. And boys, I'm looking at the clock, looking at we're kind of in a wrap-up mode. I think we're a little quicker than what we advertised. But for those of you on the East Coast, you'll probably be happy that you get to start your lunch break a little sooner. So really, to summarize, I think Steve used the word flexible a little bit to describe the solution, and this really is a flexible solution that CDH has developed, leveraging the concept searching technology. It's really something that's scalable, allows you to be as sophisticated as your requirements dictate. Really eliminating manual tagging, which tends to be the bane of most metadata initiatives. So with automating that process, metadata is applied consistently and accurately wherever your content may exist in your environment. This is a solution that subject matter experts can leverage to build out and refine your enterprise search solution. And true enterprise search means business users who need relevant information in real time to complete various tasks or projects on time can do so. And we feel that equates to a tangible return on investment. And Steve, go to the next slide, please. All right, so just a little advertising for our next webinar, which will be taking place on Tuesday, April 4th, titled Collaboration Can Be Dangerous. That sounds a little ominous there, but I think it'll be, like all our webinars, very informative. So please, we encourage you to go ahead and sign up for that, and look forward to seeing you there. Just on the last slide, again, thanks everyone for taking time out of your day to attend. We hope you found this beneficial. And again, you will receive a recording of both the audio and the presentation deck itself. So thanks a lot, and everyone have a great day.